Hi Rock Buds, it's Papa. Hope you guys are doing well today. Today I want to talk about a topic that's kind of complicated but very important. That is the geologic provinces of the eastern United States. So what is a geologic province? It's simply a hunk of land that has experienced a unique geologic history. Why is this important? Because if you know where the geologic provinces of the eastern United States are and you're familiar with them, then by definition you know a tremendous amount about the geologic history of those provinces and the kinds of rocks that you're likely to find there. A good working knowledge of these provinces, especially in your particular state, is going to be a valuable tool in your geological tool chest. So let's get started. But first, as usual, if this video is helpful and useful to you, please subscribe. It helps me immensely, and thank you to everyone who has subscribed. So here we go. But first, what's the difference between a physiographic province and a geologic province? Well, physiographic province just means that the land is divided up based on land shape. For example, the mountains, that's a physiographic province. The Piedmont, which is the foothills of the mountain, is a physiographic province. My geological colleague was suddenly called away. And there's the coastal plain, which is the flat, sandy land at the base of the Piedmont that stretches out down to the ocean. Those are physiographic provinces based on shape. Usually what happens is that a physiographic province, like the mountains for example, will have more than one geologic province. For example, in Georgia, the mountain physiographic province would be indicated by numbers 3 and 4 in this image, and that would include number 3, the Western Blue Ridge Geologic Province, and number 4, the Eastern Blue Ridge Geologic Province, each of which has a unique and different geologic history. There are 6 major geologic provinces in the eastern United States, each of which has had a unique geologic history. This map shows their approximate location by number and color. You'll notice that the map only goes up to southern New York, and that's not because these geologic provinces don't extend further north. It's just that I don't have that information for those New England states yet, but I will do a video on them for sure for all you New Englanders. And hey, Rock Buds, I gotta tell you that I haven't listed all of the geologic provinces of the eastern United States, especially when you get up into the Virginia. There are several, for example, the Smith River Alleghanian, the Goochland terrane, etc., but they're not as prominent and as major all up and down the eastern United States as these 6 that we have listed, so we're gonna focus on them for now. Here are the 6 major geologic provinces of the eastern United States. I'll give you a little time to look them over, and then we'll talk about each one separately. The first one we'll talk about is the Appalachian Plateau, marked by number 1 and colored in blue on this map. In Georgia and Alabama, this plateau is also called the Cumberland Plateau, and as you get up toward the New York area, it's called the Alleghanian Plateau, but it's all the same plateau. The Appalachian Plateau rises up abruptly on the west side of the Valley and Ridge Province. Along most of its range, the plateau is about 800 feet above sea level, and it's made mostly of Alleghanian orogeny rocks such as conglomerate, sandstone, and coal. And here are some pictures of the Appalachian Plateau for your viewing enjoyment. just to the east of the Appalachian Plateau is the Valley and Ridge Province, marked on this map as number 2, the kind of tan color. The Valley and Ridge Geologic Province is made of limestone valleys separated by sandstone ridges. The limestone comes from the Cambrian rift-to-drift sequence of sediments and the Taconic orogeny foreland basin. The shale and sandstones of the Valley and Ridge are erosion sediments from the Taconic mountains that resulted from the Taconic orogeny. And from Virginia north, the Valley and Ridge Province also has Acadian orogeny erosion sediments. And here are some pictures of the Valley and Ridge Geologic Province. Just east of the Valley and Ridge Province and lying on a major Alleghanian fault is the Western Blue Ridge Geologic Province. It is denoted by the number 3 on the map and includes the dark red area and the yellow area. The yellow area is Great Smoky Mountains National Park. This map doesn't show it accurately, but the Western Blue Ridge Province does extend all the way up through Virginia and into Pennsylvania a little bit. In Virginia, these rocks make up Shenandoah National Park, and in Pennsylvania, they are the Reading Prong and South Mountain. And though in both of these states they just call it the Blue Ridge Province, it is the same as the Western Blue Ridge Province Rodinia Rift rocks. The Western Blue Ridge Geologic Province is made of Rodinia Rift sediment rocks, like those found in Great Smoky Mountains National Park, and Rodinia Rift volcanic rocks like the Catoctin Formation in Virginia and the Mount Rogers Formation in Virginia. And here is a photo gallery for you, my rock buds, of the Western Blue Ridge Geologic Province. Now let's look at the Eastern Blue Ridge Geologic Province, just to the east of the Western Blue Ridge Geologic Province. It's the bright red area labeled number 4 on our map. The Eastern Blue Ridge Geologic Province represents the heart of the Taconic orogeny and consists of Taconic island arc volcanics and sediments that were pushed into a melange during the Taconic orogeny. We are talking about metamorphic rocks like schist, gneiss, and amphibolite. The Dahlonega Gold Belt of Georgia and adjacent states was part of the Taconic Island Arc material of the Eastern Blue Ridge geological province. Mount Mitchell in North Carolina, the highest mountain east of the Mississippi, is made of taconic subduction melange material. Here are Mount Mitchell rocks, quartz, muscovite, kyanite, schist, metamorphic rocks that have undergone extreme metamorphism that resulted in the abundance of the mineral kyanite, which is very resistant to weathering and erosion, thus leaving Mount Mitchell sticking up higher than other mountains east of the Mississippi. We're in the Virginia Eastern Blue Ridge geologic province now, and the red arrow points to material that was deposited as post-rift passive margin sediments after Rodinia rifted and then shoved up into a subduction melange during the Taconic orogeny. Hey rock buds, some geologists call the Eastern Blue Ridge the Western Piedmont, but I'm calling it the Eastern Blue Ridge here because that is the name that it's most commonly called by. Hope this will eliminate some confusion. Now let's look at the Inner Piedmont geologic province, marked on the map by the number 5, and it's a green area. The Inner Piedmont geologic terrane is made of the same rocks as the Eastern Blue Ridge geologic terrane. Those would be Taconic Island Arc rocks and subduction melange rocks, now metamorphosed into schists, gneisses, amphibolytes, and metagraywacks. So rock buds, you may ask, what's the difference between the Eastern Blue Ridge rocks and the Inner Piedmont rocks if they're the same rocks and they're Taconic orogeny rocks? Well, the Inner Piedmont rocks were crashed into the eastern United States from Virginia north. And then during the Acadian orogeny, which happened during Devonian time, they slid down along the Brevard Fault Zone to their present location. This map shows the Brevard Fault Zone marked out in blue. We can follow it all the way up from Alabama through Virginia, and interestingly enough, it seems to end at about Washington, D.C. The last geologic province we will look at is the Carolina terrane, also called the Carolina superterrane, and it's marked as number 6 in green color on the map. And you guys will notice that it extends up into Virginia and stops. So you won't find it north of Virginia, but it is a significant geologic terrane in the eastern United States that we need to include. The Carolina terrane began its existence as a volcanic microcontinent that crashed into the eastern United States during Devonian Acadian orogeny, but it crashed from Virginia north, and then later in the Acadian orogeny, it all slid south along with the Inner Piedmont along the Brevard Fault Zone to its present location. Pretty funky, huh? The Carolina terrane was an Acadian volcanic microcontinent. It has the similar rocks to both the Eastern Blue Ridge and the Inner Piedmont. Those would be schists, gneisses, amphibolytes, metagraywacks, etc. Metamorphic rocks. Okay, rock buds, get ready. I'm going to give you the complete geologic history of the entire eastern United States in abbreviated version, and I'll relate it to the 6 major geologic provinces of the eastern United States. First, supercontinent Rodinia rifted, creating the Western Blue Ridge geologic province, Rodinia rift sediments, and volcanic rock. Next, as the rifted edge of eastern United States began to sink, the rift to drift sequence of rocks were deposited during Cambrian time. That would be a layer of sandstone, then a layer of shale, and then a layer of limestone. These form the base layers of the Valley and Ridge province. Next, during Ordovician time, the Taconic orogeny occurred, which produced the eastern Blue Ridge volcanic island rocks and the inner Piedmont volcanic island rocks. The eastern Blue Ridge volcanic island rocks were deposited from Alabama north to about northern Virginia, and the inner Piedmont island arc rocks were deposited from about Virginia north. The Taconic orogeny produced mostly limestone deposits in Alabama, Georgia, and in North Carolina, but from Virginia north, its erosion sediments became the massive Queenston Delta. From Virginia north, the Queenston Delta sediments covered the western Blue Ridge, the Valley and Ridge province, and the Appalachian Plateau province. Then came the Devonian Acadian orogeny, in which the Acadian microcontinent crashed into the eastern United States from Virginia north. Its erosion sediments became the Catskill Delta, which covered the same area as the Queenston Delta plus some more. Then came the second phase of the Acadian orogeny, in which the eroded remnants of the Acadian microcontinent, along with the eroded remnants of the inner Piedmont geologic terrane, slid southwest about 400 miles along the Brevard Fault Zone and ended up from Virginia south into Alabama. The eroded remnants of the Acadian microcontinent in its present location is now called the Carolina Superterrane. Then during Pennsylvanian and Permian time came the Alleghanian orogeny, in which the major continent of Africa crashed into the eastern United States. Africa crashed from about Pennsylvania south, pushing all previous terrain several hundred miles to the northwest. This caused major thrusting, folding, and faulting across all of the terrains except the Appalachian Plateau. The Alleghanian orogeny produced limestone in a foreland basin that stretched all the way to the Mississippi River. Its erosion sediments are found mostly in the Appalachian Plateau as sandstone and coal, and a little bit in the Valley and Ridge, especially in Pennsylvania and adjacent states. Okay, excellent rock buddies, there you have it. The major geologic provinces of the eastern United States and the geologic history that made them. I know that was a lot to cover, but you can go back and look it over again and again, and I do hope it's useful and educational for you. If so, please subscribe. And this is Papa saying, have a great day, happy rock hunting.